So, hey everyone, my name is Nivas Ravichandran. Thank you so much for joining us for the Against All Odds Summit India edition. I'm just going to give you a couple of quick house rules. If you're new to the platform, this is a day-long event where we've kept very interesting sessions, not just for you to listen, but for you to interact and learn. So there is a reception area where it's more like the welcome area where you can see the schedule and more details about who's speaking, when, and all of that. The stage is where all the keynote sessions are happening. And followed by sessions are where there are going to be three types of sessions. One is the framework or the interview sort of a session. The other one is more of a roundtable format where you can also join some of these roundtables to participate in some of the conversations with the moderators that we have in place. And the networking option is a very interesting one. We have two types of networking happening today. One is the structured networking, which is going to be happening on Brella, where you can actually, you would have received an email about it. You can send invites to people and you can set up meetings with them and with VCs as well. We have a good number of VC meetings happening today, I think. And the networking within Hopin is where you will be randomized to meet with other founders or other attendees of the day. It's a very interesting feature. I think everyone should go try it out. We've asked Girish to also appear on the networking once. So if someone gets lucky, do take a screenshot and send it to us. So then on the Expo Port panel, we have a lot of our partners who are providing interesting we've asked them not to take the pitch route, but more of a help route where we've kind of converted them into clinics, right? Like where ClearTax is helping with a tax clinic, Upeka is putting up a pricing page clinic, Let's Venture is doing, ESOP clinic, right? So all of that is happening, and do feel free to key in your questions. We have multiple organizers who are there to help out. I'm going to pass it on to, hope you all have a great day. I'm just going to pass it on to Anand, who is the VP of Partnerships at Freshworks. Over to you, Anand.
Thank you, Nivas. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know how busy our schedules are these days, and we truly value your investment of one full day with us. And we will do everything we can to make sure that the next many hours that you spend with us are truly enriching, and you can go back for our agenda as well. This is actually the first edition of a 4-edition Against All Odds Startup Summit. The first edition is in India, and then in the next few weeks, we're going to be doing a similar thing in APAC, one for Europe as well as for North America. And we have an equally exciting lineup of thought leaders, business leaders, as well as startups lined up for that as well. And our first speaker today is none other than Girish Mathrubootham. He is the CEO and founder of Freshworks. He founded Freshworks in 2010 along with Shyam Krishnaswamy. Girish has lived a startup founder life. He has raised funds, he's gone through challenges, he has actually battled against all odds, and he's created a business that is today with over 40,000 customers around the world in over 120 different countries. He has scaled the company from a handful of employees that it started off to what it is today. It's valued at $3.5 billion. And without much ado, I will invite Girish on the stage. He has a lot to share. Hello, Girish.
Thank you, Anand. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. So, Anand and myself will just drop off, and you will be on the main screen for now.
Okay. So thank you. Let me share my screen, and hopefully everything will be okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome all. I think thank you for taking the time to come and attend this session. So I'm super happy today. I feel great to welcome you all to this Against All Odds Startup Summit. It's always exciting to spend time with startups. And first, let's start with usual stuff, right? I know every meeting that you all go to is probably starting off with we are living in unprecedented times, and these are uncertain times and volatile times. I'm not going to talk about any of that. So I know that this is a serious time, but we have so many other sources. So here we are going to talk about building India as a product nation, and we're going to talk about startups and Freshworks for Startups program that we are going to introduce to you today. Enough of COVID, so I'll skip that. And as any startup founder who's an optimist, I would like to look at what Satya Nadella said in April, where when Satya was actually speaking at a conference, he said, as COVID-19 impacts every aspect of our work, we have seen 2 years worth of digital transformation in 2 months. I think it was in May when he said it. So I think that is, I look at it as good news for startups in general, because COVID is a lot of pain in the short term. But what is happening to businesses around the world is we are seeing acceleration of digital transformation, right? Every business is starting to invest in systems where they can engage with customers remotely, as well as they can keep the business running when employees are remote, right, or working from anywhere. So I think and digital transformation is what enables most businesses to do this. Like how do you keep everything running? So SaaS is a big beneficiary in the long term. So I think I would like to start off by looking at that as a long-term positive for COVID, because it's very hard to see anything positive out of COVID, right? A lot of companies are suffering and a lot of pain, and a lot of people and their families are going through trauma. So I just hope all of you are safe and your families are safe. But I would like to remind all the entrepreneurs here that, okay, let's take a positive look at things and start with looking at what is the long-term benefit of COVID. So I would just like to give you some stats about this Against All Odds Startup Summit. So this is the first of 4 conferences that we are running. We are starting off from our home ground, India, but we then move on to APAC and then Europe and US. So we have 1,500 plus attendees who have registered, curated attendees for this event. And I think right now we probably have over 300 who have decided that it's worth listening to me speak. So thank you all for coming. We have more than 30 VC firms who are actually registered and attending. And we have actually arranged 1,600 meetings between startups and VCs for fundraising or introductory meetings, which is happening in this conference as we are speaking over today and tomorrow. I think this is going to, all these meetings are going to happen. That is something that we're all super proud of, that we enable this connection. And we have more than 30 sessions where you will learn from very successful founders, from VCs, as well as some of our own Freshworks leaders. So, and also I would like to say, I would like to thank AWS and SVB for being our sponsors. So in 2010, when we started, so I think we hosted Freshworks on AWS. And in fact, opening a bank account on SVB was very, very hard. And I had to get help from some random stranger on Quora who actually helped me open a SVB bank account. But I'm so happy that now SVB has a vice president, Priya Rajan, who's a speaker at this conference, and also SVB is a sponsor, who's coming to speak with Indian startups and help them create US bank accounts and help them with all the other aspects of debt funding and so on. So it's a phenomenal progress in the last 10 years. When I think about how I struggled to open my first bank account, Freshworks' first bank account in the US, to having SVB sponsor our event. So I'd like to say, remind myself as well as all of us here that Freshworks was a small startup. This is our entire team in 2011, 6 people. And we actually won the Microsoft BizSpark Award. So Microsoft was running a program to help startups, and we were selected as the 15 finalists were selected out of 438 startups that had applied. And then we had to pitch on a live stage, and then we won the first prize of $40,000. So it was a great moment when a big company like Microsoft was helping a small startup out of Chennai, who was stupid enough to believe that we can build software from Chennai to the world. So, but we have been beneficiaries of that kind of a program that Microsoft was running. So thank you, Microsoft. And so I would like to remind ourselves about that today, as we are speaking to all startups, why it's important for successful companies to give back. So today, Freshworks is evolved in the last 10 years. We have 12 products. We have more than 3,000 employees. We have 400 plus partners. We have more than 40,000 paying customers across 125 countries, and we have crossed 200 million in annual recurring revenue. So we have accomplished reasonable success, but we're still excited to go further. But the reason I'm sharing all of this is not to market Freshworks to you, but to announce what we are talking about today is Freshworks for Startups. So we have been a beneficiary from companies like AWS or Silicon Valley Bank or Microsoft or Google. So along the way, we have gotten so much of help from so many companies. So we want to do this as a paid forward kind of a program, right? So that is the Freshworks for Startups program. So we have a full team inside Freshworks who's working on a startup program where I'll tell you a little bit more about the program and also how we are doing it and why we are doing it. So if you look at the obvious basics, right? So Freshworks for Startups starts with our technology and products, right? So we want to help. Again, I'll tell you today, when we buy software as Freshworks, we pay $100,000 or $200,000 easily for a lot of software that we use. But in 2011, when I was trying to buy our first CRM or like a first accounting system and so on, when we were bootstrapping, I still know how hard it was to kind of find the right system. So in fact, we used to only evaluate software that was $10 or $15 per seat, per agent per month, because we couldn't afford more than that, right? So as a bootstrapping startup, so we know that pain of living as a startup when you don't have the resources. So the first thing that we are announcing that is which can easily be given by Freshworks is give startups up to $10,000 of credits in terms of Freshworks products. So we have across, it can be used across multiple products. So each product may have a limit. So, and there are already several startups that are using this. So that is the first thing that we offer, and that's the most obvious thing. But it's Freshworks for Startups is not just about free credits for using Freshworks products. So one of the most important things we do is we bring mentorship and resources. So many of our Freshworks leaders spend office time not through only this through this conference, but through the Freshworks for Startup program to kind of help startups with whatever they need, and also resources in terms of access to other tools and stuff like that. The most important benefit is we realize that as startups, you want traction, right? You want customers. So, and what we do is Freshworks has more than 250,000 customers using our products. And we have a marketplace, a thriving marketplace with more than 1,000 apps. So we actually want to partner with good startups wherever it's relevant in terms of the customer engagement or the CRM space or the ITSM space, and actually build integrations and take those integrations to market. So which means the Freshworks salespeople and pre-sales people who actually, okay, we have 1,000 member go-to-market org, right? So you have to understand that that's a lot of sales and pre-sales folks. So we actually equip them with all the marketplace apps. So when they talk to customers who are evaluating Freshworks products, so if the customer has certain requirements, we actually introduce them to these apps. And in many cases, the customers would then go and buy the tool directly from the startup. So there are tons of apps. You can check out our marketplace. So that is one of the top benefits of this program, where we give access to we open up our customers and we open up our community of partners. So you can actually use that to get some early customers, to get some traction, and start building your business on top of that. So that is the first fundamental building block of the Freshworks for Startups program. But more than that, the Freshworks for Startup program is beyond Freshworks, right? So it's not about Freshworks at all. So what we want is to help startups win. So, and how do we do that? Like, so for example, we in this conference, I told you that we have set up 1,600 meetings between startups and VCs, right? We understand that, okay, you need technology, not just technology. We actually help you. So every struggle that we went through, like we want startups to implement the products the right way. So we have white glove onboarding service for our products. We give you the consultation on how to set up a customer support system, or how to set up your CRM, or what other tools you should buy and integrate. If you have certain unique business requirements, we'll help you with that. So we offer more than just the products, right? I told you we open up our customers. Also, we partner with larger companies. Like there are, like for example, Amazon would probably give credits to startups which are qualified. We run a separate program called AWS Activate. So where startups which are coming through the Freshworks for Startup program, so we help them with AWS credits or Microsoft Azure credits, or so we are working on a lot of partnerships to bring you the technology that you need. It's not just Freshworks. So we work with all kinds of products. So that's something that I want to announce, which is not yet launched, but it's not only about Freshworks product. We are working with all the other technology vendors who want to help startups. So we really want, at the end of the day, the goal of Freshworks for Startups program is not to try and get some revenue from Freshworks. Of course, we would love if startups start scaling and winning and eventually become customers of Freshworks. But our goal is to find you customers for life, and hence we hope you will be a Freshworks customer. But the objective of this program, the mandate from me, is very clear to the Freshworks for Startups team. Like, we celebrate startups, we help startups to win, and I'll tell you why we want to do that. That's the whole Freshworks for Startups program. Now, we go beyond that. It's not just about giving free product credits or helping you with some AWS credits, or helping you with opening a bank account. So a lot of times what startups need is, you have to understand, as especially as an Indian startup or any startup that's starting outside of the Silicon Valley, we don't know the playbook, right? So Silicon Valley has a playbook. It's a science. They know how to launch the product, what is the MVP, and then try to scale. Once you have product market fit, scaling, moving up market and scaling is a pretty established playbook. If you can hire the right kind of people, it is a science. But for us at Freshworks, we literally did not have a playbook. So we figured out the playbook as we went along, right? And that is something that we are opening up, right? So we want to share our playbook so that we can help other startups win, right? And how are we doing that? Let me first tell you how, and then we'll talk about why are we doing that, right? But see, the most important thing which we have been talking about, and is something that is being written about in the last 1.5 to 2 years, and I'm sure some of you would have seen that. It's called product-led growth, right? So the way enterprise software is being bought is changing in the world around us. So it used to be like a CIO era, right? Like CXO, or like a CEO. Like when you think about software like SAP or Oracle Apps or Salesforce or ServiceNow, usually the software was bought at the CIO level, right? So it's cost a lot of money, but the decision went top down. The products went top down, right? It was bought and then pushed down to the users. We also had an exec era, which is you may have managers buying software for their teams, like say sales managers buying CRM software, or support managers buying customer support systems, and so on. We have seen that era. Today, we live in an end user era. So what does that mean? The users come online, they actually find the product, and then they introduce it to their teams. The team starts using it, and then they go and tell the managers or the management that, hey, we like this software, and please go and buy it, right? So I think this is exactly what is happening. If you think about Slack, for example, right? So, so Slack is not usually sold top down, right? Somebody in the company uh, starts trying Slack, and then the team starts trying Slack, and then other teams start trying Slack, and then before you know it, Slack is there throughout the company, right? Or same with Zoom, right? So like somebody starts using Zoom, you see a Zoom meeting, and then you start introducing it, then everybody on the meeting starts using Zoom, and then before you know it, Zoom is there in the company. Now, examples like Zoom or Slack, we all understand because it's more individual software, but that is the same thing that's happening in enterprise buying also. And let us talk about, and these are things that we have been talking about openly and sharing to other startups. So we have to build for the end user as opposed to the old model where you're building for the exec, right? So for example, if you're building CRM systems for the exec, you will build pipeline visibility and reporting for the sales manager or the VP of sales, right? But if you're actually building CRM for the end user, you have to figure out how can I make the salesperson not fill too many forms? How can I help them with contextual information about the customer, or how can I help them with the next best action to follow up on this lead? So you have to understand end user pain, what annoys the end user, and start building products to address those pains as opposed to building products for ROI or exec pain or business benefits. Like for a long time in Freshworks website, you would not see ROI calculators or contact sales and things like that. Right? You remove all the friction between the customer and the product. So anybody can come to the Freshworks website. Within 20 seconds, they can sign up, and without talking to anybody, they can get their hands on the product. They can actually start evaluating the product. I'm telling you all of this because I want all startups to start removing that friction between the customer, and don't put human beings in between the customer and the product, right? So this is an important point that we have been talking about. And if you look at product-led growth companies around, like we are all seeing them win, right? So Slack, for example, the end user pain is I hate internal emails, right? So it's annoying. Or Expensify, it says like I don't like to submit expense reports in a clunky old system. Or file sharing is so annoying, right? So Dropbox came and made it easy. Or so we all have seen these examples, right? So we know these some of these tools because it's very obvious to us that okay, these are tools that an individual starts using and then it grows into the team. But what most people don't realize is companies like Freshworks or Atlassian, they've also been always been product-led growth companies, right? So our products are found online, like somebody comes and searches on Google and actually comes to the website and starts trying out, adds their team members. So that is how we have also grown, and it's important that we understand that this is the model, especially for Indian startups, right? So we need to understand that we are building to this new playbook, and what we have been doing, even in this conference, you will hear from Freshworks insiders like Shekhar Kirani, who's our a first investor and board member who clearly knows our business model. Will be doing a session on how to use business model alignment as a key tool, right? Or if you look at Javed, tomorrow is running a session on high velocity sales, like how would you do SMB sales across the globe on high velocity, right? Or how would you do mid-market customers in a particular geography? So Karthik, who's our mid-market leader, would be talking about that. How to do customer marketing and customer success, Yashashri can talk about that. So Senthil, who's one of our acquired founders, would talk about how do you integrate new leaders into the company, right? So, and Nivas will talk about how startups can market with zero budget. So what I want to tell you is, so what we are doing at Freshworks is actually getting our leaders and our insiders to open up the playbook and actually share freely with the rest of the ecosystem, and help Indian startups to kind of make sure that we don't make the same mistakes and we understand how to align to this new world, to this new business model, right? And why are we doing this, right? So basically, if you look at the Freshworks for startups, so we are doing this like to be with you throughout the journey, right? Like I talked about, when you're just starting up, okay, you need some technology and products, we'll give you those credits, or you need a bank account, or you need some AWS credit. So when you have product market fit, we'll give you the access to customers and the technology to engage with those customers. When you're ready with some customers, you're fundraising, so we'll give you introductions to VCs, and we help you avoid mistakes that we made. It took us 10 years for Freshworks to come to where we are. We want the other startups to come here sooner, right? And as we scale and grow, how can we help with the right business models? How do you integrate leaders, or how do you build additional revenue streams, build add-on products? So we want to be with you throughout your startup journey, because we believe that Freshworks for startups is not about us giving you some software and trying to collect you money after 1 year. It's about helping you throughout your journey by sharing everything that we know, so that you can grow your business, keep your customers for life, and hence we hope you will also be a customer for life for us. So that is the mandate for Freshworks for startups. And many of you, or some of you, may be asking, okay, so why are you doing all this, right? So what's in it for you, right? So, and this is a personal mission for me and for all of us at Freshworks. And so, and I'll tell you a small story of something that we did. So last in 2018, we actually announced to the world. We did a press release. We said, okay, Freshworks crosses 100 million in ARR, right? And earlier this year, we announced that we crossed 200 million. So generally, as a private company, we don't talk about revenue, right? We don't generally disclose our revenue numbers. We keep it very close. But why did we make an exception when we cross 100 million to announce it to the world, right? So it's because that we believe that, hey, the world needs to know that it is possible, especially the investor community, the VC community needs to know that it's possible to build an alternate playbook. You can start as a startup in a place like India and Chennai and actually build your way to $100 million in revenue and $200 million in revenue. And we thought it is important to send that message out so that we can get the investor community interested in it, right? And I think, by the way, I will tell you that message is working, right? Every VC that I know is actually now, see, in 2010 or 11, when we got funded, we were the beneficiary of the India startup funding boom. But you have to understand, in 2011, all VCs were looking to fund e-commerce companies or consumer internet companies like property portals and so on, right? Nobody was looking to invest in B2B SaaS companies, right? And nobody was looking to invest in Chennai. So, but because so many investors came in and they were, thanks to Flipkart, they were investing in all these other companies. Somebody saw that, okay, there is a small company in Chennai and they want some funding, so let's throw some money at them, right? So we were not taken super seriously at that time, right? Because especially when the consumer internet companies were raising 80 million, 50 million, 100 million and more. So our round was 1 million and then 5 million, right? And it's a small round. So we were a beneficiary of that. But today, I will tell you, the entire investor community is looking at B2B startups. So there is no better time to be a SaaS founder or a B2B technology founder anywhere in the world, but also especially in India. And that is one of the reasons why we actually announced our revenue numbers, because otherwise it's not like we want to blow our own trumpet and tell the world how much revenue we've reached. We usually never talk about revenue, but we made an exception because we wanted investor interest to come towards the alternate playbook and the Indian startups, right? So, and I would just close. I know I'm already a minute or two over, so I would like to close this session by telling you a small story. Some of you may know it. It's called the story of the 4-minute mile, right? So throughout the history of mankind, especially in the 19th century, since 1884, many athletes were trying to run a mile under 4 minutes, right? And nobody was able to do it. And there was a lot of talk and speculation about who will do it, how people will do it. The coaches were preparing for it. And finally, in 1954, I think a UK athlete called Roger Bannister did it in 4 minutes, right? But here's the story, right? So the coaches all predicted that it has to be a perfect day, right? So at like 68 degrees Fahrenheit weather, it has to be on a dry, hard land, and then the wind has to be like really no wind, and that's how this 4-minute mile would happen, right? But Roger Bannister did not train with any coaches. He was just a lone wolf. He was criticized for training alone, but he just ran on a wet day, on wet soil, like on a windy day, and he finished it, right? The whole world was shocked, but they were also relieved that okay, finally somebody did a mile in 4 minutes. But here's the story: 46 days after he did that, the second runner broke that record and ran a mile in 3 minutes and 58 seconds. And then in the next year, I think three runners broke the record in the same race. They ran under 4 minutes. In the last 100 years, more than 1,000 athletes have actually broken the record, right? So why am I telling you all of this, right? So the reason why we are doing Freshworks for startups is because we dream of India as a product nation. So Freshworks has been fortunate. We have been able to build a playbook and then go and win. But for India, we need a lot more product companies. We need to build a product nation. See, we are all beneficiaries of the IT services boom of the 90s. We know how much Infosys and TCS and HCL and Wipro have contributed to India. Now, the growth of IT services companies is slowing down, right? We need to create technology companies where we'll create massive employment for Indian people, right? So, and in order to do that, we need a lot more startups to come. And I'm super happy to tell you that in a recent NASSCOM and SaaSBoomi report, we announced that there are 4 startups, including Freshworks, that have crossed 100 million ARR. And there are another 4 startups which are in between 50. They've crossed 50 million. They're between 50 to 100 million. There are 45. There are 45 startups which have crossed 10 million, and they are in the 10 to 50. There are 122 startups, at least that we know of, that have crossed the 1 million mark. And so like the next wave of unicorns are coming, right? So I think we are super excited to be playing a very small part in this journey, but we believe that startups have to win. We believe that technology startups are product startups are the future of India. So we are dreaming of India as a product nation, and that is why we are doing Freshworks for startups. It is a paid forward initiative where we want to help with whatever is there in our limited capacity, right? Whether it's products or intros or mentorship. We don't think we know everything, but if we can help, we want to help. And I would like to appeal to all startup founders to help each other. Like, and I would tell you a great story to before I end. One of my friends, Prasanna, runs this startup accelerator called Upeka. So Upeka has a lot of bootstrapping startups, which are really small. And in the month of March or April, I think, when COVID hit, many of these startups were actually going through tough times. So one of their startups had only 7 months of runway left, but another one of their startups had only 1 month of runway left, right? So these founders who are all part of the same accelerator ecosystem, they talk to each other. The startup with 7 months of runway actually gave an interest-free loan to the other startup with 1 month runway to just try and extend their runway to 2 or 3 months. And 4 such startups were helped with everything. All the help happened as interest-free debt within that accelerator, right? It's a phenomenal story of how people are helping each other, and I was super happy to learn today that 3 of those startups are doing really well, right? So that small help that happened. I will quote another Tirukural, which is from a famous Tamil poet, Thiruvalluvar, right? So Kalathinar Seida Udavi Siridaninum Nyalathin Manapperid. What it means is like the help delivered at the right time is way bigger, right? It's so much more bigger. Like Microsoft gave us $40,000 when we were bootstrapping. It was a great oxygen supply for us, for Freshworks to be where we are today. So like that, I want to tell all of you that Freshworks is here to support startups in whatever way we can. And I would also like to appeal to all of you, all of us. We are all part of the same ecosystem, whether we are VCs or large companies or fellow co-founders and or fellow startups. So we should all help each other as an ecosystem and really build on this dream of India as a product nation. So with that, I would like to say, have a great conference. I'm sure you will enjoy meeting and learning from all these wonderful founders and VCs and Freshworks leaders. So have a great conference, and thank you for the opportunity.